You want speed? I'll show you speed. The 10 trains we have here are so fast even a Lambo can't beat them. And just as a little heads up, the slowest thing we have on this list is going 224 miles per hour. Hi, my name is James, and here are the top 10 fastest high-speed trains in the world 2021. Let's dive right into it, shall we? When it comes to high-speed trains, it would be a shame not to include the French on this list, so that's why we're going to start this list off with the AGV Pégase, which means Pegasus in French. Now, the train might not have physical wings, but it basically flies on the train tracks. That's because it has a Jacobs bogie articulation design, and we can't dismiss the permanent magnet synchronous motors. These two parts, as well as increased aerodynamics, have allowed the train to travel at a top speed of 360 kilometers per hour or 224 miles per hour. And it's not all about speed. The AGV Pégase is perfect for transporting a lot of people. That's because in the smallest 7-carriage configuration, you can fit about 245 people. And in the largest 14-carriage configuration, which is about 850 feet long, the train can welcome 446 guests aboard. We should mention that work on this project began back in the early 2000s. A few years later, in 2008, the first model was completed, and the Italian NTV immediately ordered 25 trains for their station. From France, we move to Germany, where we'll find Bombardier making 3 versions of the Zafiro: the 250, the 300, and the 380. All of these are the speeds of the trains, in kilometers per hour, which means the Zafiro 380 has a top speed of 380 kilometers per hour or 240 miles per hour. Now, the main operator of the Zafiro 380 is the Chinese Ministry of Railways. Back in 2009, they ordered about 80 Zafiro 380 trains, and the company was supposed to deliver 20 trains with 8 cars and another 16 trains with 16 cars, which increased the total seating area from 664 for the 8-car to about 1,336 seats in the 16-car version. This project was estimated to cost about $4 billion, and Bombardier was going to be taking home about $1.58 billion. However, the order changed slightly, and Bombardier had to deliver 70 8-car train sets and another 15 16-car train sets. If you want to see the 260-mile-per-hour beast that's roaring through Beijing train stations, then stay on the lookout for our number 6. Siemens is another German company that's made one of the top 10 fastest trains in the world, and even though there are 5 models of the same train, the ones we're going to be interested in are those that can smash that like button, just like you should have if you haven't done so already. But no, the trains we're interested in are those 16 models that were delivered to the German railway company called DB. Even though the top speed is 240 miles per hour, their speed has been kicked down a few notches to exactly 200 miles per hour in order to comply with German safety requirements. The initial contract was for 15 trains, for which the company paid $610 million. But because they liked the model so much, they ordered an additional one. And yes, this model can seat about 460 people in first class, second class, and the bistro car. Of course, that's on top of the 20% reduction in energy consumption, which means they get another 200 miles for every 1,000 miles they travel. The Italian railway company Trenitalia said that introducing the Frecciarossa 1000 went smoother than ever before. Now, they said that the train was accepted warmly by the crew and their passengers, so maybe that's why they ordered about 36 trains at first. That number increased to 50, and they could barely keep up with demand. But that's not all. As of 2017, the total number of Frecciarossa 1000s that have been built is 50, and the models were actually designed and produced in collaboration between the French giant Alstom and the Italian manufacturer Hitachi Rail Italy. They had to start with the design in 2008, and the company to do so was none other than Bertone. On board the 650-foot-long train, there are 5 classes of seats, and when you add them all up, you can transport exactly 457 people. While some of our previous trains reached a speed of about 220 miles per hour only during testing, China made a train whose operating speed is 220 miles per hour. The top speed that the train reached during the testing period was 420 kilometers per hour, which is equal to 260 miles per hour. And yes, the Chinese government-run rolling stock manufacturer CRRC is the company behind this train. And there's a little backstory behind it. The whole thing started back in 2007 when China's Ministry of Railways wanted to join the high-speed railway network the developed countries in the world have been enjoying. That's why they ordered Chinese and foreign train manufacturers to start building high-speed trains. And by 2016, the commercialization of the Fuxinghao began on a massive scale. You see, this almost 700-foot train with 8 cars could carry 556 passengers across 3 business classes. Plus, compared to the other EMUs, this one is much safer and consumes a lot less energy than usual. That translates to train ticket prices going way down. The train was built with a single goal in mind. South Korea needed to build a train that would be able to go from Seoul in the northwest and Busan in the southeast of the country in just 2 hours. Because the intended speed of the train was supposed to be 430 kilometers per hour, they called it the 430X. The X stands for experimental. But the train didn't reach the 430 kilometer per hour mark. Instead, the Koreans had to settle for 421 kilometers per hour, or about 262 miles per hour. With this, they joined the list of a few countries that have managed to build a train that would go faster than 420 kilometers per hour. At first, they set the operational speed at 350 kilometers per hour, or 217 miles per hour, but then they lowered it to 300 kilometers per hour, or 186 miles per hour, just a few years after introduction. If you stick with us to the very end, we'll tell you how the French TGV was beaten by a Japanese train only by a small margin. Since it's maglev, you know we're going to be talking about the ultra-fast magnetic levitation trains. This one is operated by one of the oldest maglev lines in the world, right behind the Birmingham maglev and the German maglev lines. This train began operation just before New Year's Eve in 2002, and it's never stopped since. But there was a problem. Even though this train is capable of traveling at a speed of 268 miles per hour with no problem, the line has been operating on a deficit. Why? Because it cost Shanghai $40 million to build a single kilometer of railing, which is the equivalent of about 0.62 miles. Remember when we talked about the Zafiro 380? Well, this is basically the same train, but with a slight boost in speed. If you think an additional 60 miles per hour could be considered a slight boost. But anyways, the train has been developed by the Chinese manufacturer CRS. They took their older model, the CRH2, and they added some improvements to the technology. The train has reached a top speed of 302 miles per hour, and the standard operating speed of the train is 236 miles per hour. This is one of the 4 other train series that are capable of traveling at that speed. Because they've outfitted the inside of each train with different seating sections, we would say that there are only 3 main classes of seats: second class, first class, business class coach. And currently, there are 443 CRH 380As in service. Hey, psst. Yes, you. Don't forget to smash that like button and hit the notifications bell. From April 3rd, 2007 until 2015, this was the train that held the world record for the fastest train in the world. The French TGV, with a souped-up engine and wheels, was capable of reaching the unthinkable 357.2 miles per hour. And it actually beat the previous record holder from 1990, which, incidentally enough, was also a French train. In addition to being the fastest train for a while, this was also the fastest double-decker train. That's right, there were 2 stories on the inside, and it still managed to break the record. And while the crowd and media outlets gathered outside to cheer on the breaking of the record, the inside of the train was transformed into a lab where engineers and technicians could closely monitor the working of the train so that they could know how to improve comfort and security of the passengers in such fast trains. But all of that fell into the water with the invention of the... Okay, let's just start this off by saying this train looks fast. When a train looks like a Bugatti, you just know it's going to be fast. And it didn't break the record by a small margin. This Japanese maglev train reached a speed of, get this, 374 miles per hour. That's faster than any other train in existence. Japan plans to put it into use on the maglev rail line from Tokyo to Osaka, which would in turn allow passengers to reach their destination in just 1 hour and 7 minutes. There are currently 14 sets that are being built, and it's expected that the train will be available for commercial use in 2027. Plus, Japan will have to figure out how they're going to pay for the maglev line, since it's going to cost $74.7 billion to construct. Bye for now.